Hey folks, Greg here. Today we're going to be unboxing and reviewing some brand new action figures from Spin Master Toys based off League of Legends. We have a small 6-inch Jinx, or 4-inch Jinx, excuse me, and then we have some premium larger scale figures of Zed and Thresh. So let's open these things up and check them out. Hey folks, Greg here, and these are the small set of League of Legends figures that Spin Master sent me to review. Shout out to you, Spin Master, for supplying me with these things. And they come in two different sizes. There's the 6-inch scale and then the 4-inch scale. 6-inch scale retail for $19.99 and the 4-inch scale retails for $9.99, I do believe. Now we have three different versions here. We have two of the 6-inch ones and one of the 4-inch ones. We have Zed and Thresh, and Zed is a... God, it's been years since I've played League. But if I can remember the top of my head, I'll be very impressed. Zed is a fighter assassin, and Thresh is fighter support, and Jinx is marksman. Did I get that right off the top of my head? I hope I did, because I haven't played the game since like 2010. So let's start with the small one first. Let's do Jinx first. I'm curious to see about look at her detail. Her box looks nice. Not too much going on. This is first edition too. Okay, all right. Oh, looks like they do have a little bit of twisty ties in here. Oh wow, I actually like her pigtails. Like they're actually flexible. Hi Sadie, thank you for coming again. I appreciate it. What are you doing here, Sades? I need you to sit down. Oh, how nice! And she comes with a little display stand. That's kind of cool. No, that's not a toy. Well, it is a toy, it's just not a cat toy. So this is the Jinx 4-inch figure, and she actually has a surprising amount of articulation and detail. For someone like me, we had G.I. Joes, and they didn't have a ton of articulation, but they were pretty cool for the considering the time period. The thing I really like about Jinx is her belt is a separate mold, so it can actually move. Her hair is super long. It's not posable, like you can't, it's not a rubber shell with like a wire, so you can't pose her hair, but it's nice that that's a little bit flexible and bendable. Her boots look really good. There's actually a surprising amount of detail on these tiny boots and on the figure itself. Now her face does look a little, I want to say awkward. She's smiling a little bit, but I think her cheeks are a little bit too full for the figure. But they have all the detail, her tattoos on her right arm, her little bands on her left arm. Everything looks really good. And it comes with a little display stand, which is kind of fun. I think that's really, really cool. And of course she comes with her weapon and a rocket. Overall, actually kind of impressed with the quality. You don't usually see this type of quality in a 4-inch figure. So I'm actually really impressed. Color me impressed. Moving on to Thresh. These are the big boys. Wait, weird. It's not like, I'm so used to cards slipping out. There was like a little corner that you had to pull out. There you go. Oh wow, he's got like interesting colors too. Oh, does he have the big? He does not have the big twisty ties. Cool. So I think I just pull them out. Might be a little loud. There we go. Oh, and he also comes with a stand. I feel like I was just complaining about that with another action figure, was that they didn't come with stands or they didn't come with feet placements to try to pose them. Okay, Thresh has a lot going on. He's got a lot of textures, he's got a lot of layers for his cloak. They did some translucent plastic on him for his hands and his neck piece, his kind of back spiky piece. And there is a ton of detail on his backpack too, with all the skulls and the bones and stuff. Actually really impressive. I'm gonna put him on a stand here. Wow, is this bendable? Oh, nice, it is. And he has this other accessory and it looks like it's posable. It's hard to tell. I mean, I feel like it's bending into a way. No, it's not. Okay, so this is, again, it's just really malleable plastic, but it doesn't have the ability to shape it like Nightcrawler's tail. I always use that as an example because that's the one thing in my mind that sticks out. Do you guys remember the old I want to say Toyba's line of X-Men figures. Nightcrawler's tail was like a rubber and it had a metal band through it. So you could adjust it to however you'd like to pose it. But you know what's really cool to me for this figure, what's really interesting is that they, especially for the lantern, so the lantern's one solid piece, but they did translucent plastic and then they did a spray paint or an airbrush paint to give the illusion of it glowing. I know it's kind of dark, but that's a really interesting technique. You don't see it a lot. I mean, I consider myself a pretty good painter when it comes to miniatures like War Machine Hordes, 40K, Age of Sigmar, and I don't even attempt to do the light reflecting the light glow that they did here. And I know this is probably machine painted, but it looks pretty good in terms of it actually looks like it's glowing. And I'm sure if you got that into direct light, let's see if I get my phone in here, turn on the flashlight. Yeah, you can get a little bit of a glow in there. Kind of cool. He's got a lot going on. His sculpt is actually very impressive, if I'm being honest. He has a lot of little small details with his costume, and he's actually pretty poseable. He has a ball joint and a swivel joint at his elbow. His hands can turn and bend a little bit back and forth. His head can move up and down, left to right. And his torso can move left to right as well. And of course he has all the articulation on his feet as well, on his legs, which he can bend at the knee, he can turn, he can swivel his foot joint and go down. Wow, he has his ankle joint and go down. He has a lot of really interesting detail. In terms of figures, I'm actually quite impressed with the amount of just the overall amount of detail they put on him. I'm saying detail way too much. The amount of just small little things like the skulls on his back and his sides and all his jagged edges and his spine theme and all that good stuff. It's very interesting. Now he only came with 2 accessories. He came with the lantern and his scythe, and that's about all he came with. He doesn't have extra hands or any head like that, but it's still pretty not bad. Not bad at all for the price. He has a lot of little things going on, especially like the color of him. The blacks, grays, and greens really stand out well, and I do like how they implemented the translucent plastic into his weapons, hand, neck, a little bit in his head, and of course his lantern, like I already mentioned. Pretty cool stuff. Oh, okay, Zed. All right, so this is funny story. So I always, in my head, there was a guy, and I forget what his name was. It's been a while since I played the game, but his spiel was he would throw his weapon, it would hit something, it'd fly up, and you had to move him to catch it on its way down. I always thought it was Zed, but it's not Zed. I know that's not Zed. For some reason, I always picture it isn't that Zed? I think they have the same type of star jagged weapons. His are a lot smaller though. He comes with the stand. Oh, thank you. There's no twisty ties, no hardcore twisty ties. You just pull them right out like the other ones. He's got some layers to him too. His little sash is a separate layer attached to his torso. He can move his torso a little bit. He has actually a swivel joint on his leg, but also a ball joint. His ankle, his feet can move. He's got pretty good articulation on his hands. So his shoulder's a little hampered by this pad over here. The pads do move, which is kind of cool. Then on the back, there are 2 ball joints for his throwing stars. I'm a little concerned about how hard his daggers are, because that could actually, if you actually did that would be very bad. If you actually fell with them and hit someone with it dead on, that would not be good. And it's not very, it is bendable a little bit, but it's pretty stiff in terms of the danger of how sharp it is. But I can appreciate that. He's still got movement in his hands. You can bend them a little bit back and forth, and of course rotate them at his elbow, of course, as well. He's a little bit more simpler than Thresh. Thresh has a lot going on with all his spiny bone stuff, but he still looks good. I do kind of like how a lot of his cloak features are separate mold that they put on top. I'm pretty sure they're glued down so you can't remove them without damaging the figure. But as you can see from his neck here, his cloak looks very nice because it's a separate piece, separate colored. It's not glossy, or not as glossy as his metal chrome bits, which is always a nice little detail. I think these are great. These are cute. So overall, the quality of these figures is actually really impressive for $9.99 for the small ones and $19.99 for the large ones. And of course, everyone in League of Legends has their go-to character that they've played. I wasn't able to find mine. I didn't play it long enough to find mine. It's a very interesting game to try to get into. Like, it's a very punishing game if you don't know what you're doing. You got to know your builds. You got to know your lanes. You got to know, and it can be a super fun game if you're into MOBAs. Like, it's one of the biggest. It's arguably the biggest MOBA in the world. So you can't really go wrong with the biggest one in the world, right? It's super highly competitive, and everybody has their favorite champion character that they use and their favorite role they play. I think it's great that they have a 4-inch and a 6-inch line if you're tight on space, because the 4-inch line has just as much detail as the 6-inch line. Again, pretty impressive, and I think these are available now. So I'll leave a link in the description below as my cat's eating things behind me making noises. Get out of the box. Get out of the box. For more video reviews and everything else gaming related, you're already in the right place. You're on Shacknews.com.